at slide 6. Next. Yeah, so we got this map. If you look on the sky screen, the reason why I thought the slides would be important. I'm trying to pull up Harold's chair. There we go. Is because in order to get them into Second Life, we had to remove a lot of detail and all the texturing. So Harold, do you want to tell us one thing that you found exciting and one thing that you found difficult about your chair?
Yeah, I think it was getting to that was really fun. Um,
So
I
what
think
was
the
really
most
fun?
challenging. I'm sorry, what was that?
Could you start over? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my mic is really bad. Um, yeah. Here, let me get move you guys. The most fun part was definitely making something that like had complexity and seed and kind of designing around those constraints. First time I've ever done that, and like learning the tool paths and everything was really cool. Um, I guess the most challenging thing was like trying to work within um, the space of one sheet of plywood. It's actually a lot smaller than you'd think. Um, that was tough. I had to do some math and stuff, but yeah. Other than that, it was really fun.
Cool. Yeah, and then I guess we can give just thoughts and feedback. I really like the designing for a cushion in mind. I think that the um, it's important to think like outside of the wood in terms of comfort. And I really like what you did with the brass details for joining the parts together.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any thoughts or feedback?
I have a question. I like this.
Yeah, go
The
ahead.
chair has this little curve at the top back of it.
Yeah.
Um, I hold on a second. I like it. I think it's really cool. How are you thinking of achieving that feature?
I mean, ideally I would glue lam it, but realistically I'd probably just like kerf it and then fill it with Bondo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Any other
Um,
questions from the group?
yeah, it sits pretty well, uh, even uh, even in even in Second Life. The
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Harold. Casey, are you with us? Cool. We can spend a little bit on it. It's funny this board responds to voice commands, but I have to yell them because it's so big. Casey's uses about a third of a sheet of plywood, or even a little less. You can use Alt and your mouse to move your camera around without walking. Um, if you just hold Alt or Option and then move your mouse around, you can zoom around. Casey just made this really nice, modern little stool. Cool. Eddie, do you want to talk about your chair?
Can you hear me?
We got some feedback.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there's feedback coming through Zoom. If I mute myself, then the recording will stop, I think. But yeah, what do you want to talk about your process and something that you found easy and something that you found difficult?
Yeah, so
Rob,
why is it doing that?
Rob, can you mute him in Zoom?
I did.
Yeah.
Eddie, if you turn your volume down, cool. Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah, so I had a lot of fun making
Cool. What would you do differently if you had a chance to do it again?
I probably walk on the legs.
Cool. Casey is here after all. I just didn't see him in the crowd. Um, do you want to finish? Do people want to give group feedback about Eddie's chair, then go back one? Oh, sorry. Next, and then I gotta scream it. Thanks for keeping me accountable. Yeah, so this is, I couldn't fit the whole one pager because it was the wrong orientation for, oops. Uh, slide 9. Yeah, a little bit of it's cropped, but yeah. So Eddie is using 3D printed corner pieces. If you use Alt, everybody, and you click the board, and then move your mouse up and down, you can zoom out and in and around and stuff to see the board. Or you can zoom all the way in with your scroll wheel until you're in first person, and then you can use mouse look to look around if you want to look at the board. Cool. So I want 2 questions from the group, not including Steve. Awkward silences are awkward in Second Life.
For the oh whoa.
Levi, does your character have a voice changer because of the? Was that Levi?
That yes, that is. Why am I so delayed and loud?
I don't know. Maybe it's because you're a monster. But we can hear you now.
For the corner pieces, so it looks like you have. Is it press fit with pegs and glue? Oh, okay. Yeah, I see the holes in the corners now. Nice. It looks a lot more comfortable than the earlier designs that had the wow, this is so hard to talk.
Oh, it's probably because since you're in the Zoom, also you're getting feedback from. Uh, yeah, I can't. I can't. No, your mic is muted, Levi, but your speaker isn't muted. So everything you say that lands on my ears comes out of Zoom, so that I can record. Um, so if you just leave the meeting and then that's probably the only way. I don't know how to mute output in Zoom other than uh, I don't know how to, because muting Zoom is really it's not really it's not like muting a stereo system. It's like mute turns your mic off, not your speaker.
Is this any better?
Oh, you always sounded fine to us.
Oh, okay, yes. And now I can't hear myself. Perfect. Yeah, I feel like the design evolved a lot from the initial iterations that looked like they might have been a little painful, where this one looks like it would be comfortable to sit in.
Anybody want to take a seat? Well sat. I like that you're carrying a dog.
It's pretty good.
Awesome. Okay, so Casey doesn't have um, audio, but which is gonna make this difficult. Um, how should we do this? Steve, do you have any ideas?
You can be the voice.
Sure, Casey, can you quickly type one thing that you found rewarding and one thing that you found challenging in the process designing your stool?
Want to switch the thing, Rob? The slide.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
We can tell Casey's typing because his fingers in World are typing.
How does it know?
Cool. Yeah, I always have trouble with things that are rotationally symmetric, figuring out how to think about it, especially if they're not symmetric, like in like a Cartesian way, but like in a polar, in like a angular way, like if they're not right angles to each other. Cool. What was the most rewarding part? Oh, hold on, I didn't see that. While we're waiting, does anybody have any thoughts or feedback?
I like how you made a stool easier, or I guess more complicated than it needed to be, but it's like in a really cool way. Yeah, no, really good job.
Cool. One more piece of. Go ahead. I think that was done based on some feedback I gave, and I think that was the idea. It feels weird to speak for Casey, but typing can be slow. Awesome. Okay, so now we did Eddie. Let's do Changzhou. So Changzhou's chair has is gonna use like store-bought chair base, so it can be rolly. Is Changzhou with us in Second Life? Okay, yeah, I don't see Changzhou in Zoom, and Changzhou's username in Second Life is Changzhou, and I don't see. Does anybody see Changzhou around? Cool. Well, Changzhou's chair makes really aggressive use of kerf bending and the sheet metal functionality in Fusion to get a very curved geometry that just uses screws and nails in order to constrain the now flexible wood to that geometry. I think it just barely fits in a single sheet of plywood, which is for my class remained a constraint after COVID. For Steve's class, that restraint was lifted. But yeah, I think if folks are absent, we can move along.
Rob, did you say this?
Duran,
Did you say this does fit
go
on a
ahead.
sheet of plywood?
I think it did.
Wow. That is
Yeah, I think that
it's impressive.
the unfolded kerf bending thing is like 6 feet long, and then the other parts are pretty slim.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of extra material by not having to make your own feet.
Yeah, it's true.
Cool. Let's see. Next slide. Next, Control Enter. Yeah, Duran, are you here?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to talk about your chair? I can animate the stacking while you talk.
Okay. Wait, what happened to my slide?
Oh, I didn't get it.
Oh, I turned it in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All good.
Sorry. They take like 20 minutes to upload, so
Oh,
I think we
okay.
just got to go ahead without it. Sorry if I didn't see it.
All good. So yeah, I basically made 2 chairs that fit into one. I guess the hardest part and the most rewarding part are sort of one and the same, just figuring out a chair that I could, or a lot of it was due to the constraints I set on it myself. One, I wanted to make 2 chairs that fit into one. 2, I wanted to make a chair that I could make a carbon copy of, and they would fit together and be a unified piece when they are together, and not just 2 chairs that stack into one. And so that put a lot of constraints on how I worked at it functionally. So as you can see, there's the one stool that sits by itself, and then the 2 that stack together. Like one goes upside down, and then you just fit one on top. Yeah. So it took a lot of iterating too, and just looking at all the different variations of how I can just fit 2 chairs together, but also keep them the exact same chair. And also, when you look at it from its side views, it completes certain shapes. Like you see the little curves and accents I added into the legs when they actually fit together, or even by itself as the stool. When you're looking at the side, they make different shapes.
Cool. Yeah, I've always found it difficult to design things that, you can't start with one and then move to the other because, like you kind of have to just come at it from both sides at the same time. And I find that kind of work tends to be very, lots of crumpled up pieces of paper in the trash can, lots of attempts that end up informing your intuition, but that can't be worked from because, you're just kind of chipping toward a goal. But since you have to come at it from both sides at the same time, it's hard to start on one end and meet halfway.
Evan, you want to see my chair?
I think one of the things that's also challenging, and it's kind of like really, in a lot of ways, the kind of like the point of this course is to introduce everybody to, you know, the kind of capabilities and constraints of manufacturing, right? And so, you know, you're thinking about your designs as you have been, you're learning how to design, and then now you have to like kind of put all these new constraints on top of that, and design within like those constraints. And you know, a lot of design is about understanding your constraints and limitations, but you know, this is a very specific set of constraints, and it really, yeah, it complicates it. And you know, doing it, having the class in person would have been kind of more tactile learning, but you know, I guess that's all I had to say.
I really like the profiles of the legs that you chose, and then kind of like the subtle reference of the leaf shape to the leaf-like qualities of the furniture. Very nice, Daron.
Thank you.
Also, if anybody has strong feelings about not liking the color of their chair, I can change that pretty easily. I just thought I'd get some Candy Crush palettes going up in this thing just to keep us engaged. Awesome. And sorry again about your slide.
All good.
Cool. So if everyone follows the pink line, you know, you've definitely got to, you got to do the curly Q, or else you're cheating. We come to, oh, I'm sorry. Wait, is the order wrong of the slides? This is why we test.
It looks like it's the
Oh
same.
no. No, yeah, but the order goes, it's not the same one.
No.
Oh, what a pain. Okay, so if I'm off by 5, I need to go. Connor, do you have a slide? No. Okay, great. So that's easy. Connor, are you here? Cool. So Connor just made like kind of like a beach loungy chair. We talked about lowering the arms because where they're at now, they you know, they kind of would shove your arms out forward in maybe a way that's not that relaxing. Yeah, the final one was going to have cup holders and some other things, but you know, time is hard. Hold on, I gotta read the instructions for this for this slideshow. Give me a second. I gotta figure out the previous slide instruction. Back. Okay. There we go. Alexis, are you with us?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, do you want to talk about your chair?
Yeah. So basically, I left the tables and stuff like that. So I kind of want to go for like future stuff. So I have like panels and stuff, and obviously that's like shiny. And I'd say like the hardest part, just was fusion. I thought that was pretty good. Thing that I don't ever do fusion. So that was just as far as something that changed. So I think I'll change like onto the shoot straight up. Small scale. I probably change just the whole scaling of it and then that so that'll be better. And then I'll just add leather straight up. But yeah, that's
Cool.
Hmm.
Levi, to answer your question about hearing, the closer your camera position determines how loud people are. So staying zoomed in might help. But other than that, I'm not sure.
Who is Alexis? I mean, what is your name and Second Life so I can go closer to you?
Oh, okay. I don't have one of mine. I don't have my other one.
Oh, okay. Wait, so
Yeah.
only I can hear Alexis?
Y-
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, everybody. Yeah, so Alexis was speaking through Zoom. I'll try to remember what Alexis said and say it again. I was just like, why can't everyone else hear Alexis? Uh, Alexis was inspired by gaming chairs that kind of sit on the floor and are futuristic. There are LED light panels on the side, including a little like totem with a logo that Alexis made. And regrets or difficulties were using Fusion because prior to this class, no one really had Fusion experience. And another regret was that the verticality of the back is kind of incompatible with a thing like a floor lounge chair, um, because when your legs are straight, your back can't really be at 90 degrees. Um, does that sound about right, Alexis?
Yeah, you totally recapped that very well. Sorry.
Cool. Yeah, Levi was like, "Why can't I hear Alexis?" Because it's clear that Rob can hear Alexis. It's because Alexis is in Zoom. Well, cool. Um, and Alexis, you're able to see the screencast. Okay. Well, it's recorded. Cool. Thanks so much. Oh, should anybody have any feedback, and I can say it out loud again?
Are these 3D printed inlays?
It's just want to speak.
Oh, sure.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's just acrylic. The acrylic panels. The 3D printed the 3D printed logo is the only 3D printed component. Everything is laser cut except for the little Astro logo, the half circular thing.
Mhm.
Cool. Wow, the Zoom Second Life simultaneous thing is very confusing. Awesome. Thank you, Alexis. Oh, it's not previous, it's back. Okay, yeah, it's back. I can't believe I got the slide order wrong. Luckily, we're almost out of slides. Cool. Daniel, are you with us in Zoom or in Second Life? Or neither? Oh, cool. Do you want to come back when you can? If you have the, otherwise I have to do the thing where I say what you say again.
Yeah, I can come back.
Cool. So your slide number is 14. That'll be useful. We're gonna come back to Daniel when he arrives here in Second Life. He's having some teleport issues. Ryan, are you here in Second Life? Cool. I'll do the same. Um, awesome. Do you want to try to get here in Second Life and then we'll come back to you? Cool. Uh, awesome. Fernando.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, shout's back. Sorry. I got to get used to this new slideshow system. Awesome. Begin presentation.
Okay. So this is my chair. It's it's very inspired by some of the airplane seats you might take a sit on is they have like a hidden armrest inside or a hidden table inside the armrest. And so I tried achieving that with a CNC chair. Here in like Second Life, it's just very general and blockified, but you can see on the slide there's some detail. All the white pieces you see are 3D printed parts. Um, there's a whole mechanism underneath the right armrest. Um, and then I just chose a couple different colors of wood to get a little difference to see what's CNC'd and not. But it's a pretty simple chair as it is. But I guess what was really rewarding was figuring out the joinery and actually going through like Master or Makar, the hardware and trying to figure it out. So it all works in the model on Fusion. But as rewarding as that was, I'd say that's probably the most difficult part I had. It's a pretty simple shape and everything, so making the extrusions one is so difficult, but making it work was definitely a challenge.
Awesome. Yeah, mechanical things are difficult to design on paper or in CAD or or physically.
Mhm.
Can I hear a few pieces of feedback from the class?
Yeah, that's a really unique idea, Fernando. Um, I honestly I couldn't tell just looking at the model, but seeing the slides and hearing your explanation really really clarified it. It made a simple chair into like something really really cool. So good job.
Cool. And Beef Bruiser is Harold.
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like the choice of the printed components in white to contrast nicely with the wood grain.
That's a good question. Does it fit in on one sheet?
Um, the chair as of right now, I don't think so. I need to relay it out. But there was solutions to that as we talked. Was using like pre-made legs for the chair, but I think as it is, it does not fit on a single sheet.
Cool. I think that you more than made up for that in complexity. So no worries. Yeah, we talked about the rigidity of the 3D printed parts maybe not being enough, and reinforcing those with metal,
Mhm.
like metal rods. Um, but yeah, other than that, I think it's a buildable chair. Steve, do you have thoughts?
Thinking. What? I mean, do you have a scenario where this chair would be used? Like, what were you designing to? Like, who were you designing for? I guess.
Um, I guess I didn't really pick an audience, but I was just thinking of like a cool chair that I'd like to have in my house
For
to say I've made, I guess.
for what? What would you do with this chair?
Um, we have like a patio here in my backyard, and there's like a lot of old wooden chairs from where my parents are from,
Mhm.
and I thought this would at least help the environment a little bit, maybe just having something a little different, I guess.
Mhm. And what would you use this little table for?
Um, I don't know, maybe just a drink or a notepad.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it's the size or capacity for like a full course meal, but
Mhm.
something light.
Sure. Great. Good work.
Thank you.
Cool. And Daniel has just joined us, so we should probably go back to Daniel's chair.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good.
I guess I shouldn't answer that question because I can hear everyone because
Yes,
of
I
the.
can hear Daniel.
Oh,
Thank you.
I muted myself on Zoom, so if you said yes, that meant that, yeah.
Cool. So Alexis, your slide. Sorry, Daniel, your slide is up, and we're ready to hear from you.
Yeah. So, I decided to take a more, I usually like to do a whole process with the sketches. Um, my chairs started as just wanted to take a more like sculptural approach And as I was doing research and I started like doing the mood board and sketching, I started to lean towards a more Bauhaus shape style, but with more minimalist colors. So I got really committed to the circular back of it because I really like this one chair that this one table from the Bauhaus time, which is just a round table and then the edges come in and out. So yeah, I began doing that. Um, it basically is only four parts, and then it has some insides that you would 3D print that I would 3D print and to give it some more support, especially because of how lented lancet it is, and the fact that the legs are one piece and they will start rocking. So yeah, any questions?
Can you hear me? Slowly.
Yeah. There's an echo.
Sorry.
Just leave the Zoom meetings. You don't need to be in both.
I'm just gonna talk.
That goes for everybody. If you're in Second Life, just leave the meeting. You can rejoin if you need to, but by being in both, it causes all these feedback loops and stuff.
Can I talk through here, Steve?
Was that Jasper?
Jasper, you can talk through here.
I was just wondering.
Jasper,
Yeah, this is
ready
Jasper. Is the arc that makes this legs and the sides of the chair the same that like the circle could fit in it? That makes sense.
Sure. Did anybody hear that, or am I just hearing that?
That was just you, Steve.
Okay, so Jasper's wondering if the circle that is the back could fit inside the arc of the leg.
No.
No.
They're different measurements. I tried to do that, but then it meant that like by that in the part where you would bend your legs, or basically the end of the seat, will be all the way to your ankles. So it would be more of a bed by then because of the circular thing.
Mm-hmm.
So and also I would have to make it really thin, the legs, to be able to well, that was the problem. I did the legs too thin when I tried to do that circle to maintain to make it smaller, but then yeah, it turned into a bed basically.
Mm-hmm.
I also tried before the whole back piece was a half circle, and then there was just front legs. But after looking into it with Robert, we saw that it would actually end up being really unstable because you have a completely flat surface, and there was also not enough support on the front for it. So it was a lot easier for it to break on the joint between the seat and the back seat.
And what are the connection points? How are they connected?
So they have some parts that are cut as the wood is. You can see in the pictures, and so they just slide in, and you put some glue on it. And also there's 4 screws. 2 go on one side for the backrest, and then the other 2 go on the other side on the backrest. That way they hold the back.
Cool.
Yeah. So we talked about how the circular back was going to be the most prone to like torses and torques. So we're using like 4-inch lag bolts, like really strong shear rated screws there, just because that are spaced as much as possible without interfering with that circular shape. Awesome. Cool. Brian is still not with us in Second Life, so we can come back. Oh, cool. Brian, do you want to sit on your chair while I figure out how to get up your slide?
I don't have a slide,
Oh, okay.
and I don't know how to sit on my chair.
Just click it.
Hey,
You're sitting on your chair.
I am.
What?
Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is my Cobra chair, and oh, my screen is spinning.
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry, I'm being mean to you.
That's okay. The chair is inspired and designed from Ford Shelby, the logo of the Shelby, the GT Shelby, and the whole. Why can I see anything?
Oh,
Yeah.
I raised you up really high.
Oh, yeah, I gotta change my viewport.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So if you
I'll
see
bring you back down.
from the side, you can see the cobra shape, how cobra that stand up from the ground, and then if you go to the side, where I'm facing is actually the back, and then at my bottom parts, you can see that that hook underneath my chair. That's actually the teeth in the front. So the snake kind of like bends it to the back and go back to the ground. And then I have a later version. I have upload later version that the stand is bigger and in a slightly different shape. I made it like look like a two lift kind of. It's kind of a hard shape at the back, the tips of the chair. I want to make it like the shadow of how sometimes Cobra has this heart shaped head, so the stand will become like the projection of uh, the Cobra. Yeah, and then for the T parts, I'm unsure that a design that could be placed as small items, small purse, books, magazine, small toys to that to add some functionality, and also add a kind of a wood support. So when you sit on this stool, uh, it's it's comfortable, and then you don't have to kind of sit on your spine all the time. You can rest on your back, and then also implement that kind of uh, a ergonomic shape on the butt, so the sit area can fit well with any people who sit on it. Yeah. Lastly,
Cool.
the angle of it, I have tilted the seat part, so when you put on weight onto it, uh, due to the material, you will lean back a little bit. I mean, tilt back a little bit to a flat surface. This is my chair.
Cool. And just so everybody knows, this is made out of stacked sheets that are aligned with Brian. But Second Life can't support meshes that complicated, so I just took the base form and imported that. But yeah, this would be made of stacked sheets, half-inch stacked sheets with half-inch gaps between them, connected by threaded rods. And there was also an additional sheet in the base so that it would have enough stability to actually stand. And I think that it just barely fit on one sheet when we did the test.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Feedback from the class? Awesome. So if we go back to the top row, Chong Zhou is back. His Windows updates are finished. And that is slide. at slide 6. Is that right? Changzhou, are you here?
Yeah, I'm in the Zoom.
Oh, okay. I thought I just saw your. Okay, so we'll just do the thing where I speak for you. Uh, Man, I should have got a different slideshow. There we go. So I'm gonna be the voice of Changzhou. So there's your slide is up, and your chair is up. I can sit in your chair. Yeah, so you just speak, and I'll say what you say. The idea of this chair is my chair is from a gaming chair. I tried to make people sit comfortably in the chair. And the bottom support part comes from an already existing chair. The black pieces on the armrest are 3D printed. Cool, thank you. Yeah, we talked about how it uses really advanced use of the kerf bending tools. Any thoughts from the class? Changzhou can hear you. You just can't hear Changzhou.
What does the underside of the chair look like? Is it just like flat down there so you can just like screw in the components, or is it like more complicated?
I think it's just flat. Is that right, Changzhou? It's just flat. Yeah. So there's additional kerf bending on the butt of the chair, on the corner and the back. So the back is also one sheet. So the face is one sheet, the back is one sheet, and the sides are like 4 sheets thick, like 2 for the guides, and 2 for each armrest. Cool. Thanks, Changzhou. So I think that
Really
means
like the
Levi, go ahead.
sketches. Good sketches is all.
Yeah, great work with the sketches, and it's always good to include those in your presentation. Cool. So that brings us to David. I had a cat model to go inside of David's cat box, but I couldn't find it in my inventory. Hold on,
I
I'm
think
trying
it's
to.
at the old gallery.
Yeah, I could maybe run and get it, but that seems kind of. Yeah.
Well, you would have to fly, right?
Well, I could teleport. Hold on. Y'all talk about the chair for a minute. I'll be back in a minute. Don't follow me.
Yeah. Is David? Are you in the space here?
Wait, what? Who?
David?
David? Where's David? Is David here? David. He was on the Zoom call.
He's on the Zoom call. Okay.
Okay, so David, I can be your voice.
Yep.
I'm gonna see if I can get the cat. So speak, and I'll say what you say.
There it is.
I just want to make something that I could put my pet in as well.
which is on the
The arches on the feet are for stability, so it wouldn't rock and stuff.
and I put there's a space between the box and the top to put it like out of the way.
Cool. There's a space between the top of the lid of the box and the top of the cat area where you could put books and stuff.
Oh, there's the cat.
There you go. There's the cat. Awesome. Cool. Any questions?
I have a question about how it's put together. Are these all joints, or are there fasteners?
There's joinery. Are you using fasteners, David, or just press fit and glue? Cool. So yeah, it's just press fit and glue. The top, the lid fits on with like half deep blind mortise and tenons, and the sides fit on with full mortise and tenons. But yeah, the intention is just glue. Cool. And the height is perfect for I think this type of chair. Even by Second Life dimensions. A few people's chairs I had to scale up when they came in Second Life because they were really small, but that's okay. Awesome. Anyone else? Feedback for David? David, what did you find most difficult about designing this chair? Making sure the box inside fit correctly with the mortise and tenon. It's hard to speak as you're listening. I need to get better at this. Well, cool. Thanks for your work. Max, are you with us?
Yep.
Cool. You ready?
Yes.
Your slide is rezzing. There you go.
Cool. So, my chair is pretty simple. So, like, I didn't have a ton of difficulty with it. Just, like, since I wanted to do my joinery kind of like, using like shadow style, it was mostly just, like combining and like cutting. So it made it pretty simple. The thing that was just the most difficult was like the seat is at like a slight incline. So like when I was trying to like line things up relative to that, it was a little challenging. But otherwise it was actually kind of fun doing like the combine. I love the combine command, but maybe I'm weird.
Cool. I've thought about for future semesters having a requirement that at least one component needs to not be aligned to the, Cartesian system, just because I feel like CAD tools in general really encourage people to work in, those three planes, the up and down planes and the flat plane. And I think that learning how to use construction tools and other tools in order to work outside of that construct is really important in order to keep CAD tools from constraining your thinking. And I think that like with the chair that's on my head that I stole from, that I didn't design it, but I did the CAD. I was really surprised at how challenging it is to design something where not a single component of it is aligned to any of those planes. And it kind of changed in the process of making this chair on my head for the screencast. It really changed the way I thought about uh, CAD and how important it is to to teach people how to make things that aren't lined up to those planes. But I think it makes a big difference in terms of comfort. Can I hear two things from the class about what they like about this chair? Or what they don't like, whatever.
Yeah, I really like the lines of the profile shot. It's it's really organic and looks comfortable.
Cool.
I really like the hole on the back seat, especially because like I noticed that a lot of chairs don't take that into account when you move them, and that I have a chair that has specifically a hole in the back like that, where you can just move the chair around, and it makes it so much easier for you to like put it back into place or move it to a different room. So I really like the fact that you included that hole because that it's like beyond just sitting down, but also moving it around.
Yeah, the original like idea was to have it be like a chair slash like step ladder, but when I was doing the joinery for the step, it wasn't gonna fit with the width of the legs. So when I got rid of the step, I was thinking about getting rid of the handle, but I was like, actually, I think I like that. I like being able to
Yeah,
like
no, I
move it
really
around.
like the handle. The handle, I really like that. Nice touch, Bender.
Thank you.
Cool. I think that's a great segue into Levi's chair, which is also, a step ladder. Someone keeps playing this weird clip. Levi, you here?
Yes, yes. Hello.
Hello. Do you want to talk about your chair, Levi?
Hello. Sure, yeah. So, this is a stool. It flips from the front corner here, um, and folds into two flat things. I was kind of going more for what the model looks like, a little bit more streamlined, but then I began to worry about stability. So when I created the 3D printed joints, I bulked them up a bit, which changed the overall look, but I would trust it a little bit more. And I did these little strap hinges for the front, which I'm curious to try out and see how those would actually work. They work great for the cardboard version that I built of it, but I don't know if actual wood and I guess like thick nylon straps would work and how those would wear over time too.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's going to be a function of the length of the strap. Where the longer the strap is, the more stretch there's going to be. And like, an eighth of an inch stretch might be like a 5 or 6 degree over travel in terms of uh, how it would would go together. But yeah, I have no idea. I have a really weak intuition for fabric. It's one of my great shames as a builder. I think Steve's got a little bit more experience in soft goods, but who's yawning?
What say
Uh,
you, Steve? Do you think that this is a plausible joint solution or
Yeah,
not so
so
much?
this is the idea that it can fold right. So it folds up, goes back around. Yeah, I mean, it's also about it's a function of the weight that you put on it, right? And the flexibility of the fabric, like how much it will deviate. it's almost like if you had, I think the fabric's really good for holding it, like, acting like a hinge, but not taking the brunt of the force. So if there could be like, um, if the kind of if the component can slide into like a locking feature once it reaches its full open position, and then rely on mechanical resistance to keep it from flexing as opposed to the fabric resistance, then it's more likely to last for longer but I think the fabric's a great solution for this like kind of super steep, you know, hinge that's at a weird angle. But yeah, if it, and they could be like the 3D printed mechanisms could release in one direction and then lock when they get into this like full open position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But this is a really cool. This is a great design.
Thank you.
Yeah, I tuned out a little bit for that. I got distracted by something, but you're saying metal hinges would be something to explore, Steve?
Nope.
Shit.
I was saying that like a mechanical joint that only engages when it's fully open and then is loose in the opposite direction, so that the fabric hinges kind of keep it in place and line it up, but then when the forces are applied during like sitting or standing.
Help!
No.
Ow! How do I stop it? Who is it? Who's got the thing above their head that's making the noise?
That's you. Oh no. Max.
Oh, now I'm spinning. That's the fire alarm. I don't know. Why am I still walking? This isn't me. Oh no.
Is
I
this
think I've got to reset Second Life.
okay, Rob? You go reset Second Life. Leo, I have a question for you. Is this? I mean, what's your how do you see this being used?
As a source of convenience for getting up, but also a stool that would be reasonably comfortable to sit in. It seems like a lot of kitchen stools, especially the one that I have, the top bar handle section is kind of directly over the butt pad or the top step, so it's very difficult to sit in. So it's kind of going for a hybrid between stool and chair.
Do you resent me for encouraging you to go with the floating style instead of the supported style?
It looks a little bit more complex, but I think it looks a lot cleaner, so I'm appreciative for the suggestion.
Cool. Awesome. I'll delete the giant one. So we have two more, and then we're gonna take a break. Potential, and I'm gonna talk to Steve about what to do next. We might. Oh, we can talk about that when we get there. We just got two more, and then we can talk about it. Oh wait, sorry, this way. Cool. Anli, are you with us? Anli, are you on Zoom? Oh yeah, you're right there. Cool, we can hear you.
So this is my chair, a semi-sling chair, so I call it lazy chair. Yep. So basically just three major parts, which would be the two side and those middle pieces. I thought about like doing a feet rest, but I delete that function because it's really hard to figure out the support when you slide out. So yeah, that's the final now. And seemingly it's not fitting for one sheet of plywood, so um, Professor Rob saying I might just like do the side on the plywood and then do those middle pieces with solid wood, like individually. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about how you had the idea of using a hand router, like a trim router, in order to round out the pieces so they can fit into their routed slots without dog bones,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really clever. And that's the same technique the company that makes the chair that's on my head uses. They don't, instead of using dog bones, they just use a small bit to make the cuts, and they do a
Mm-hmm.
slight radius on all the components for assembly, and it also makes it less sharp. Yeah, and this company is one of the few companies that it's not that common for production furniture to be made simply out of just sheet plywood and a CNC router. Usually, it's like IKEA furniture is much more complicated, for example. But they really make it work, and they seem to have built a real business out of it.
What is it called? What's the business called?
Unto This Last, the website, I put a website in my chair info if you right click the chair. They're in England.
Yeah, they have a shop in London, right? And they have no inventory, they have no warehouse space because it's so expensive. They just make chairs as they're ordered, or furniture as it's ordered.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's
And I
smart.
think that their lead time is really short. And honestly, I'm tempted now that I've done the CAD for this chair. I'm tempted to make it, but that feels a little icky because
You can ask
I
them.
stole it. I mean, they'd probably be like, "Oi, we'd rather you pay for it, mate."
Yeah, they're not. Are they sailors?
Everyone in England is a sailor. What feedback do folks have for Unli? Max is clapping. How do you clap, Max?
In the common gestures in your inventory, or slash clap.
All right, thanks.
Is it called the swing chair because the like the slat design kind of represents those old chain two-person swings, or where does the
Yeah,
name come from?
yeah, I call it semi-sling chair. It's not fully sling. So you might like it's kind of little bit, yeah. Does that cancel that
Yeah,
function?
yeah, and it does have like a similar look too. Very nice.
You have a cool logo. Very professional.
Oh yeah, that's my initial
Yeah, it looks good.
thing.
One of the things I found when I was converting all of these to Second Life was how sad it was to be deleting all this work. Like, all the logos, all the joinery, all the work and all the cleverness just to turn them into these solid, blocky gestures of what they once were. But the work is really apparent. I probably should have warned students that if they leave their keyboard, their avatar sleeps in place, and everybody knows. For the 5 students who aren't with us at the moment. Um, sorry, I just think it's a really funny parallel to class when somebody falls asleep in class and everybody knows. All right, Sungtae. Sungtae, are you with us in Zoom or in? So Sungtae's chair, I thought, is just a really uh, refined and simple design that relies a lot on, again, using manual routers and roundover bits in order to alleviate the need for dog bones. It's a lot clearer in the slide, but it fits on a sheet, and it's a solid looking and well designed chair. I don't think it makes sense to give feedback when people aren't here. Oh, Sungtae is here. Sungtae, can you hear us? So Sungtae, if you push speak on the bottom left-hand corner, you should be able to use your mic in Second Life. But that's okay. Cool. So Steve, do you want to talk about what's next here, or do you want to take a break and talk offline? What do you think is best?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Cool. So everyone meet back in Second Life at 11:15. Sound good?
Cool. 11:15.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Okay. Oh, another screen on the other side.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to drive it. I can't give you the proper permissions,
That's
but I still need a few minutes.
that's totally fine. Okay. Great.
I have to use terminal for this shit.
Oh wow.
It's obnoxious.
Hold on, Rag. Okay, so let's all gather. Let's see, over on this side, I'm gonna fly up here a little bit. Okay, if you look up, see me. I'm the one talking over here. I'm Steve. I'm over by Josh's chair, I guess. Yeah, so come on over. All right. While Rob is getting together the slides that I threw up, I think it would be nice to quickly go through our classes chairs. I think that we had the two classes were really similar. I think one of the things is that towards the end, Rob kept the constraint that it had to be able to fit on one sheet of plywood, and I waived that, partly because we weren't going to actually be making these things, but I think it's actually still a good constraint. I think Rob said something. I know he's working right now, but if you can hear me, Rob said something very he said something very good about that. I was like, I was talking about, well, with if you use 2 sheets of plywood, but you still like take up most of the space and you're not wasting as much. And Rob, what did you say about that?
Oh, that waste isn't about how much of something you use. Isn't about how much, like about how well you use resources you have. It's about how many resources you purchase. So using 100% of 2 sheets of plywood is twice as wasteful as using just the corner of 1 sheet of plywood,
Yeah. And I think that personally, I was a little bit shocked that I wasn't thinking about things like that, and a little bit embarrassed, I think. But I think that it's a really good point. I think that, oftentimes we get in like this mindset of like, oh, I'm making this thing now, and everything happens within the context of making that thing. But I think that a good kind of global view like that, what am I taking out of the world to make this happen? And I think that's it's something to I think always keep in mind kind of as you go forward.
Steve, your slides are up, but it seems that you gave them to me in a random order.
I did, totally random. So
You're the worst.
We'll have to. I'm so sorry. I was working really fast. It's okay. We'll just walk around and we'll find Devin's chair. So let's go find Devin's chair. See, it'd be like a game. See who can find it first.
It's me. I found it.
Rob found it. Okay, he's over by the screen. Devin, are you with us? Thought I saw your avatar earlier. Nope. Okay.
Should we move on for now?
Sure, yeah, let's move on.
Okay, I'm gonna click the screen. Everyone find the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Amy.
Got it.
Max found it.
So Amy's chair can actually accommodate multiple sitters. It's the only one that was big enough. So.
Can accommodate what?
As many sitters as we want.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Everybody get up on this chair right now.
See how many seconds stuck on this chair.
This is the perfect chair.
This is the perfect chair.
How many can it fit?
Best one.
Is Amy with us?
Amy's,
We
on,
need one.
Amy's flying
we
on a
need one
horse.
chair with
Amy's,
the lecture.
Amy's flying on a horse up there in the sky.
Does somebody
You
want to
win.
I am Amy?
Oh, I am Amy.
Amy, we're critting your chair.
What a scene. What a scene.
Good news, you can still dance while sitting.
Really?
Didn't find her.
That's great.
Any
news.
luck, anyone?
I just text her.
Oh, that's better.
How do you dance?
Or I can
Click
take
the briefcase and that's
Hey,
your
Rob, can you-
inventory, and
Really
then go to
huge.
gestures.
What?
Can you make us up in the air and really huge?
Sure.
Maybe spinning?
Yeah, just maybe.
Oh!
Oh, I can't stretch it while it's occupied, but I can make it spin. Hold on.
I want to dance. How do you dance?
You don't get the dance.
Press F9 or F10.
Press Alt and then F4.
Asshole. Don't do that.
Yeah, do that. Hey.
Okay. Right, let's. This is great, but let's. I guess let's move on until Amy gets back. We can always come back.
Oh
to
god,
it.
I'm
Is
already.
Amy moving right now, or is she away from keyboard? Because I found a username, but I don't know Second Life that well.
She looks away from keyboard.
Okay, cool. Next, look at the screen. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. We got ourselves a whale chair.
Wheelchair.
I like this game where we have to find the chair.
I think Harold found it.
Found it.
Oh yeah, it's
Is
the
it
first
seat
person to
taken?
sit in it is probably the winner, right?
Oh, it's like musical chairs.
Yeah. Capture the chair.
So who was first?
Oh yeah, well there's
was
many people
Harold.
sitting in it.
It was Harold.
All right. So I have Cindy on Zoom here. Cindy, would you like to kind of tell me about the chair, and I can kind of convey it to the group in Second Life?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you always designing this for kids, aimed for kids, and my inspiration was a whale. I'm a fan of like sea animals, so I was like, okay, maybe I can create that, and that's where my inspiration came from. And it's also a rocking chair.
Okay. So the gist of it is this is a rocking chair for kids, and Cindy was inspired by sea life and by kids. Are whales your favorite sea creature, Cindy?
Yeah.
Yep. Could you tell us about sea? What were some of the things, some of the considerations you had, especially this being a kid's chair?
Like safety, size, and having bright colors that would call attention.
So safety was a factor. Size, getting the right size, and then bright colors was something she also considered. There's another version of this chair in the presentation that's red as well. How did you get the size right?
I think I kind of just used the measuring tape to kind of measured a one that I had at home, like one of my kids' chair that I had at home, and I kind of tried following that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's great. Something that I do a lot when I'm designing things is that I have a tape measure. This is what Cindy did. I have a tape measure at my desk, and I'll drawing, and then when it comes to like I need a parameter, I'll measure something that's in my house. And so Cindy measured yeah, a chair, another kid's chair that was in her house. Sometimes I'll measure like the length of my leg, or the distance, how wide the door jamb is, or something like that. Yeah. Do you have any other comments, Cindy?
Myself, I don't. I don't know if anybody else.
Any questions or comments for Cindy?
I just want to say how cute this is.
Yeah. Like the little
it's
like,
really
stopper
it's really
in the back.
Oh, sorry. Was that somebody something?
I was just saying I like the stopper in the back of the chair to keep it from rocking back too far, and how it kind of like it doesn't take away from like the form that she's going for. Like it still looks like a whale.
Yeah.
But it still like functions to like make sure that a kid doesn't like rock all the way backwards.
Totally.
I think it's cute.
Yeah, that does look really good. And then the renderings look really nice too. The way you incorporated the kid into it looks really clean. And I like the color pattern too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. She says thank you.
It was really, a lot of people's chairs, when I imported them, I would scale them up a bit, and I was glad I didn't, because I didn't realize at the time that it was a child's chair. But when my adult little body sits in it, I was just like, this is a little small, but I should have realized it was for kids.
Great. All right. Should we move on to the next one? Thank you, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Next is Leah Rose.
That's me. Wait, I'm not sure if I should speak to Second Life or Zoom.
Yeah, you should.
Second Life is better because only more people are in it.
Oh, okay.
And I can hear.
So you guys
go
can,
ahead.
right? Okay. So for my chair, let's see. Okay. Yeah. It's basically meant for a kitchen stool chair. Is what was I going for? Usually kitchen stool chairs, they're pretty made small. So I wanted this to be more different. So the legs are more flared out, so it's more stable. And then I created curvature arms just to have armrests. I never really see a lot of armrests for stool chairs for kitchens. Because usually stools, they don't have armrests, but I wanted to make a full-on chair. But these are usually meant for an environment where if a kitchen has like an island table, it's like a bar stool. So you're able to, so it's pretty high. It's like a 24-inch tall, I believe, chair. So it's pretty up. And yeah, so I wanted to make a more organic backrest, just to, create more curvatures on the chair, especially incorporating it with the legs. And in the back, I added more support, just so it won't rock back well. So the arms are attached around the whole thing with the armrest. But it's more of a house furniture or kitchen.
I have a question for you. Okay, so if you did have the opportunity to do physical prototyping, what are some of the things that you would want to explore with this design?
Well, if I were going to like change a few things, if I was able to, I think I would have prototype more of on the leg part. Actually, I would have like probably done it a little differently. But this is where I came up with. I just thought this would be better just to be more stable instead of the first iteration that I did.
Right.
But yeah.
Cool. Any other questions?
I have just something that I find is often the case when something has like more than 4 or so legs. It can be difficult. Like they kind of can get into fights about which one is the weight's actually on, which can lead to more wobbling as opposed to less. It's something that's hard to address, but it's certainly something worth looking at. And also twisting. That I think that this would be. This might have like an interesting like twist and shout kind of vibe if it were fabricated out of plywood of this thickness. But the form is really interesting.
Cool. All right. Anybody else? Any other things?
Yeah, I like how it's got like a lot of curvature to it, but like you didn't need to use any curve bending because like of the way that you like have your sheets cut. Like it's almost like an illusion of like that the wood is bending, but it's just cut at these angles.
Yeah, it's really hard to. I think that one of the things about curve bending that's challenging is that I think it kind of takes a lot of prototyping to get it right, because it's hard to anticipate the ways in which wood will want to bend, versus the ways that you want it to bend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so this is great. All right.
Next slide, next slide, next slide. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Hayden.
Everyone's already there. It's behind you.
Yeah.
Harold won the race, but I think he was already sitting there.
All right, Hayden, you want to talk about yours?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I was going for a office desk type looking chair, and I really wanted to capture.
Hayden, are you with us?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not on.
You're not on
the
Second
game.
Life? Okay. All right, Hayden's not on Second Life, but I will translate for him. So he was going for an office chair type chair.
Yeah, and I really wanted to capture those round cushion looking forms.
You
So I
want to
went with
capture the round cushion looking forms?
So I went with the segmented style.
Hence the segmented style.
And I also wanted to make the back adjustable.
Also wanted to make the back adjustable, and this is something that we've gone back and forth a lot on. So it looks like there, and I'm gonna say a little bit, Hayden, if that's okay. Looks like there's this 3D printed part right here, this handle that has a spring part attached to it as well. So you can, you push down, is that right?
No, you pull up on it.
You pull up on it, right? It releases the hook, and then you can slide the back section. There's a kind of this back support. You can slide the support backwards and forwards, and that changes the degree to which you can angle back in the chair. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. Okay, what else?
That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. What was really challenging about it?
Just figuring out the whole adjustability and making it look good. So I feel like every time I added something to it, it just took away the aesthetic.
Sure. So yeah, figuring out the adjustability
Bless you.
and making it look good. But he said that every time he added something to it, he had to adjust the aesthetics. Right. Yeah, it's really nice and complex. Looks like there are a lot of parts to it for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions? Do you have a sense of how much plywood this takes?
No, I don't. Yeah, I haven't laid it out yet.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely more than a sheet.
Yeah, probably. Although the thing about it is the pieces are all really small, all the individual pieces. Most of them are,
Right.
except for maybe the legs. And so and they're, I think it leaves a lot of room for potential stacking. I think that I was kind of surprised with some of these designs that were laid out, in terms of how much material that they were actually going to end up taking.
I do have a question. Since there's so many small pieces, would the plywood actually hold that? Like, would it break, or do you guys do you think about that part?
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that. And Hayden, correct me if you think that I'm wrong, but I think that it doesn't seem like there's anything that would be really super breakable. Maybe maybe the small pieces on the outer edge might be more prone to breaking, but they're kind of out of the way in terms of use. So
right, and they're lower too, so I feel like you wouldn't even be sitting on them.
Right, and they're lower, so it's hidden. Yeah.
Steve, you mean the ones near where my body is?
Yeah, the ones over there.
Out here?
Yeah.
I'll be your laser pointer.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I think that this looks like it's made out of 3/4 ply, which is pretty strong. Like even when it's small.
Yeah.
I would worry about things like that catching your clothes, but I don't think that I'd worry about anything in this breaking. I had a pretty close look at the CAD, and everything seemed really beefy and well considered.
Yeah, it's very thorough. Very thorough.
The legs were my favorite. Like it has a really nice base, but the base isn't likely to interfere with your heels.
Yeah.
And it's not so wide that it would be a tripping hazard. It seems like it was well iterated, well considered. What was it modeled in?
Was it modeled in Infusion, right?
Infusion, yeah.
Yeah, Infusion.
Cool. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks.
Next slide?
Yep, next slide. Okay.
There's 4 minutes left in class.
All right. That is Ryan's.
I won. What do I win? What do I win?
You get to sit in it.
Yay!
Ryan, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So
only in Second Life? Only in Zoom?
Only in Zoom. Ryan is here, but he will. I will translate for him. For not really translating, but I will. Okay.
Just try to speak as they speak, so we're not left in the dark.
I will speak as you speak. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, so I made a chair, and I like really simple things because I think the world's really chaotic. So making simple things is like a nice way of being kind of in harmony with your space.
So he says that he likes making simple things, Yeah, he's trying to. Sorry, hold on a
Oh,
second.
you're good.
Yeah, so he tried to make it simple. He thinks that simple things can help you be kind of in harmony with your space. I totally agree with. Keep going.
So I wanted to make something that would look as if it was a piece of wood that was like shooken out like a rug and then bent into a chair.
Okay, so something that was, you wanted it to look like something that was like kind of shaken out into a rug and then bent into a chair.
So yeah, kind of like an organic shape.
Like a really,
and then
really
one that
organic
kind
shape.
of and one that contours. So it's not just a flat piece, but it's also kind of bent.
And one that contours, so it's not just a flat piece. So yeah, there's all these kind of curvatures inside of the chair, on the back side and on the top side. That, yeah, kind of take it out of that the planar option of it. Anything else?
It's a chair. I don't know.
Do you mind if I say some things about it? So the connection point is, you know, at first there wasn't going to be this connection point we talked about, we talked about adding it because of material considerations. So if it was built out of, it's built with stacking profiles, but if it's just built out of stacked profiles, that profile, you can get maybe 2 of them out of 1 sheet of plywood. And it's like 30 or something stacked profiles, is that right?
Yeah, I think 30 or 31.
Yeah, so 30 or 31. So we, kind of added this break, which is kind of like a puzzle piece type thing, and then some metal rods that can slide in there as well. So the idea is that as you're building it, you will place these metal rods inside of it, and you're not going to take this thing apart. It's going to stay one solid piece, but that puzzle piece brings the 2 pieces together.
I'm confused about how you can use the rods and the puzzle piece.
Well, as you stack it, you're building it from one side, right?
Oh, I see. You put the rods in between as it's stacking.
Right. So you put one top together and one bottom together, and you glue those to another top, bottom, and yeah. All right. Any other questions? Anything else? Okay. Shall we take our lunch?
Sounds good to me. Meet back here at 1?
Yeah. So we'll meet back here at 1, and I think that we'll kind of go through this for a little bit, and then I'm going to break off with my class after that and go into our kind of virtual classroom together to talk about our chairs. But I like this format. It's weird and it's fun. It's cool.
Cool. Don't forget to eat something green, everybody.
Great.
Did anybody bring snacks to Second Life?
Can you do that?
I could download a pizza for everybody.
Yes. A beer.
It won't.
Oh, I have virtual pizza.
Oh, Path is back. Yeah, do you want to throw a couple virtual pizzas down in the center here?
Yeah, let me, I'll just put a cube here as a simple table. Let's see.
We didn't. We can't do virtual beer. We didn't fill out the proper permits, so no drinking in Second Life, everybody.
No problem. Let's see here. I have. I do have this. This is interesting. It's an interesting scripted item here. Here is pizza on the cube there. Okay, wait a second here. Now the only. Let's see here. Oops, one second. I think, yeah. So if you click on the pizza in the box, it'll say, "Do you want to attach to my avatar?" And you will take a slice. You have to, if everyone does it at the same time, it may be difficult, but oh, someone close the box. Open the box. I'll open the box. Open it. And if you take a slice and then you say, allow this to attach to your avatar, you'll slowly eat it over time. It'll slowly, bites will be taken out of it in your hand. And yeah, so Rob, you can see you're like eating. But again, if everyone's clicking simultaneously, might be.
Maybe we should form a line.
But there's only 8 slices, I think. And when it's
I don't-
gone, it's gone. It
I
is
don't see the-
literally. You can
I don't see the pizza. Oh, there it is. It just wow, I'm eating pizza.
Yeah. Let me see if I can buy some more copies of this, because the guy who makes it, it's a consumable digital piece.
That's a great racket. I gotta say, I feel just as hungry. I feel just as hungry now as when I started eating it.
I know. But no, someone closed the box. So if you click, someone, whoever wants to take a piece, maybe if they could say like, "I'm taking a piece, please wait your turn," because it's like 20 people all grabbing it at the same time. It's hilarious.
Everybody, I'm gonna go make real lunch. I'll be back at 1. Thank you, Path, for feeding my class.
Sure. I'll put out some more pieces, just over time. You guys can eat them. But it's unique that it is like a unique item. So like once all the pieces are gone, they're gone. I can't just make a copy of this object. It's a unique digital object. So like there's one piece gone, and so there's 7 pieces left on that. Let me make I'll put out a couple others. I'm gonna make this a little table a little more.
Maybe.
I'll put it out. I'll put out some more.
All right,
I see
everybody.
some people riding horses. That's awesome.
Thanks. That was fun. I'll see you again here, either with your avatar or in Zoom at
I'm going on to the.
at 1 o'clock.
This is the future of design.
Yeah, well, it's collaborative.
Okay. All right. Rob, you ready? I'm ready. You ready? Yeah, unless Devin is here. Devin, are you here?
I am. I'm loading Second Life right now, and it's having some problems.
Okay. All right, we can give you some time so we can we'll go to the next one.
Actually, I got it, but we can
You
still
got
go.
Okay, your slide's up, so we want to talk about it. Hold on. Wait. Hold on a second. Rob, are you hearing Devin? Oh, okay. Great. Okay. Let's go then. Oh, where is it? There it is. Okay. Rob, did you make it big? Okay.
Hey, Steve. Yeah. None of us can hear anything.
Oh. Hold on a second. Hold on. So okay, let me, hold on a second, having technical difficulties. All right, so Denise, you can't hear anything happening in Second Life, is that right?
Yeah, I think people on Zoom can't hear it because Winter can't hear it either.
Okay, let me try it again.
Upper right-hand corner of Second Life, there should be a little speaker icon. Steve, can you repeat that?
Yeah.
Kevin F.
It's a. Okay, Rob, say some things.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I am Rob.
You got that, Denise? Yep. Okay, it works.
Cool. I was just asking what the detail on the buckle was really impressive. I was wondering what you modeled it in.
I modeled everything in Rhino and then I pulled it into Fusion.
Cool. Yeah, I thought that the use of fabric or like leather is a really good way to add comfort to an otherwise rigid stool. But Steve's leading this crit, so.
No, I think your comments are great. Thanks, Rob. Let me see. Yeah, if you were to build a physical prototype, what would you, because it's like, I mean, the idea is we're building prototypes so we can learn about the physical object as it relates to the kind of idealized object. Are there any kind of, what kinds of studies would you want to do on a prototype before you, move to the next level with this?
I think I would first pattern out the leather pieces in a cheap material and just make sure that the measurements, etc., like fit around. And then I would also check that the structure of the chair can support itself.
Right.
And I guess the buttons or the buckles would ideally be like 3D printed, so I would need to do like testing to make sure that there could be rotation in the buckle pieces.
You say
One
3D
thing that
print?
might be an issue is I don't know if cows are large enough for. I think if you unwrap these pieces, they're really long. They're like 5.5 feet long, and I think that cow hides might not have enough size to actually get that in one piece. So there might need to be bonded leather, or it might need to have stitching somewhere in order to make a piece this large.
I think stitching could definitely be incorporated and look really nice in something like this. That's a good point, though. Any
I see
other?
what you're saying with the cowhide not being long enough, so maybe it would be like a vegan leather, something that intimidated it, or sorry, looked like it but wasn't actual leather.
Yeah, and that comes in rolls. That wouldn't have an issue. Cool. I think structurally it would be fine. I mean, you have the. I mean, structurally it's it's almost as if the leather parts don't exist. But getting rid of those, you still have a triangle between the three posts. And I think as long as the joinery was strong, I don't think there would be a serious. The one thing I would see would be the. I'll fly at it. The spot here. Oh, a little lower. Here. I imagine the two knees of the chair might kind of come toward each other when people were sitting on it. So maybe a fourth support, like a curved fourth support under the knee of the chair, might be helpful. But I'm not sure. The wood might be rigid enough on its own.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Shall we go to the next slide?
Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? 1, 2, 2, wow! It's Jamie again.
Amy, are you here?
Hi, can you hear me?
Cool. So Amy's chair
Yes.
is over here in the front corner right by the screen.
So as you can tell by the slide, the real chair is made of layers, but I had to make it into just the original sculpted form in order to get it into Second Life because there's too many details. But
Oh, it's okay. So I was thinking what kind of chair I want in my room, and I don't think I need another functional chair. So I came up with this mini parametric bench. And my inspiration is that a chair can be more than a chair. It can also be a piece of art. So I try to make it organic like an artwork and then cut it into slices for CNC manufacture. Yeah, that's all.
That's good. What was how did you generate or how did you come up with the shape?
In the beginning, I just create a ball, like a ball, and then twist into this kind of shape, and then use the cut function to make it slices.
also it seems that there's a significant difference between the version that Steve gave me and the one that's on the screen. The one that I made doesn't have the backrash at all, so keep that in mind if you're looking at it.
One of the things that was really impressive about the file that you sent me is that it had complete CAM toolpaths in it. So you laid out all of these. How many pieces is it?
I remember is 42.
42, and it takes up how many sheets of plywood?
4 sheets.
4 full sheets, yeah. But it's laid out, and the toolpaths are all on there too.
Yeah.
It's a you know, one of the things about these is that they these kinds of organic shapes, they can get quite heavy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that's done, people do sometimes is that they will the inside pieces, the inside slivers, don't necessarily need to be completely solid. So you can cut big holes out of them to basically reduce weight.
Oh, okay.
But I've seen these a lot in like public spaces, in like malls or like in gardens or sculpture gardens and things like that. It's great at getting a good, interesting shape out of flat material.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Shall we move on to the next one? Yeah, they are. All right.
I won.
Daniela. Where
Yeah,
is
it's
it?
me. I'm only on Zoom, not on Second Life.
It's like E3.
Okay. So Danielle is on Zoom.
Yeah.
So I will I can speak for her, or she can speak through me. How about that?
Okay, so I just did something like inspired by summer. Initially, of course, because we had
So I'll just make a couple
one.
notes that obviously that the strings were too intense for Second Life, so I had to model a version that just had a solid seat. But the proportions are the same.
Okay, proportions are the same. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah. So
she says that she was inspired by summer. Is that right?
yeah. And with the first regulation that it was just one sheet of plywood, that's why I wanted to do like different materials. So I added the rope on it.
So the rope was added kind of like in response to the condition that it was be limited to one sheet of plywood, which I think is a really great addition. Actually.
Thanks. And yeah, so I used 4 supports to hold the actual circle on the corners of the legs of the chairs, I guess, if that makes sense. That's where I incorporated my 3D pieces.
Right. So the 3D printed parts are the parts that are on the ends of each leg of the chair, and they hold the circular ring to the legs. And there's four 3D printed pieces.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I just added that the rocking feature. That's about it.
And then there's a rocking feature as well. Yeah. Okay, Danielle, if you had the opportunity to do some prototyping around this, what kinds of things do you want to learn before you take it into production?
I definitely need to work on the supports. I think I could have done a better job in pretty much the assembly and just the aesthetic. I think they could have looked a lot better.
She says that she thinks that the assembly and the aesthetic could have looked a lot better. So the supports, is that right?
Yeah, I would change the supports, prototype the supports.
Prototyping the supports.
That would be my main thing I would change.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah, even though we've done so, there's like, when doing design for manufacture, there's a lot of things that you can, the more you know about it, the fewer mistakes you can make. But there will always be something that you have to redo, and it's just totally part of it. I still trick myself into thinking that I got it right the first time.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, this design is totally waterproof. It's fine. And I bring it into the world. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, it's too small. This part's too big. So
let's just order 10 of them. Let's not even bother with the sample run. And then they all arrive and they're all wrong, and we hold our heads in hubris and shame.
Right. Yeah. So, great. Anything else?
The other trap the similar trap I fall into is thinking that I can design it in CAD when I barely know what it's going to look like. I'm like, I got an idea. I'll just start in CAD, and I always end up like deleting my file and going back to paper because something, it's so limiting to start on the computer.
Yeah, it really is. I think the thing that you said earlier about kind of like getting, there's a certain number of tools in CAD, but it really works in a very it can help. It can kind of guide your designs in a way that's that makes them less interesting or something, or it can be limiting. Even though it's a very powerful tool, it can limit your kind of creativity in a lot of ways. And so being able to get past that in CAD, I think, is really important. And it's hard, especially if you're not really, really good at CAD. So I think always starting with paper sketches is the thing to do. It's what I always do.
I just want to compliment Daniela. I know not everyone can hear me, but you know,
Should we demand two students speak up before moving on?
I have a student that's making comments. Denise is saying she wants to say some things. So I will convey them.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not on Second Life, so not everyone can hear me. But I just wanted to say it turned out really nice. I know you were having some challenges modeling sort of like the organic features of it, like the rope or fabric.
Yeah.
But I think it turned out really, really nicely, and I think you did a great job, even though it was hard.
Thank you.
So Denise pointed out that the challenges of kind of drawing the kind of more organic shapes and these chords and things like that, and but that it came out in the end really nicely. What was the hardest part of drawing this, Daniela?
Definitely the chords, like having to individually create like a loft for every single one. That was the hardest part.
Right. So it was she had to make lofts for each one of the cables, and there were probably like 50 or something like that of them, maybe more. So it was two sketches of circles, and you go into the 3D and make a loft between the two circles for each cable. A lot of work. Cool. Great. Well done.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next slide. Jake, I see it. Rob.
Man, I'm winning all of these.
Wow. How do you do that?
I'm on Zoom. My
So again,
Second
I had
Life
to simplify
crashed
this one drastically in
earlier.
order to get it in Second Life, but the sitting surfaces are the same.
So Jake is with us in Zoom. So the Second Life crashed, so we will talk you through it. Okay, what would you like to say about it?
Yeah, it's a rocking chair, and then the CNC part of the design, it's not up on the screen, but is the jigs that will help steam bend the wood into those shapes.
So this is a rocking chair, and the actual parts of this chair that you can see are not CNC machined, but what is machined is it's not shown here, is a jig to seam bend this veneer, this plywood into place. Anything else?
No, not really. Is there anything else I should say about it? I don't know.
I mean, anything you could say anything you want to say about it. Yeah. So if you had to do some prototyping with this, what are you curious about learning from the prototyping process?
Oh yeah, no, there'd be a lot of prototyping with steam bending in general and figuring out the best way to create jigs and the overall shape of it. I went kind of abstract, knowing that we didn't really have to build it. I think it would have looked different if we had to build it with knowing our limitations of like the shop and things like that.
So Jake was saying that if he had a prototype with it, the thing that he would be curious about would be this, how kind of the bending works with the jigs. And so there'd probably have to be a lot of trial and error with that before actually doing it. So probably like small studies, things like that. Because remember when we talked about it as we were making it, there's little things like you can draw this shape, this curvy shape of the bottom, and you can have the jigs, but then I think we realized at some point that you wouldn't be able to slide one jig onto the other jig because they would they would interact with each other, or they would bump into each other. So you actually had to make the bottom jig into 2 pieces, right? And so that's one thing where it's like that's one of the things where maybe you can catch it before you
But not
build the
until
thing.
you actually do it.
Yeah, but you know that's one thing, and then there's a whole other slew of things that you won't be able to catch until you actually try and do it. But yeah,
I don't know if we talked about this, Steve, but you can't steam bend plywood. You can only steam bend solid wood.
right.
So, and solid wood doesn't come in sheets. So I think this would have to be made with glue lam.
Yeah.
The other thing is I don't think it would work as a rocking chair. I think because in order to rock on a rocking chair, your feet need to be on the ground. Like you need to have some way of actuating and actually pushing and pulling on the frame in order to get it to move. But as like an adjustable lounge, very similar. I think that there's a famous designer lounge that has a arc, like an arc pipe situation where it's adjustable in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in order to make it a rockable rocking chair, it would need some kind of foot pad or be lower to the ground so that you could actually touch the floor while sitting in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, through my dimensions, I thought it was lower to the ground than it was, and that would have been something I would have seen in like the prototyping.
Yeah.
Phase.
Yeah. Right. So that's what Jake said, that he thinks that he thought it was lower to the ground than it actually was, and that's probably one of the things he would have looked at during the prototyping phase.
Rad.
Cool. All right. Any other questions or here we go.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
You said all right.
I just said all right. Josh.
I won again.
Well, maybe. All right. Yeah, there he is.
Okay. Let's see about my chair. It's actually a folding chair that the bottom kind of folds up and closes up. I really wanted to keep this like low to the ground profile that is portable. And these like half moon shapes, these like crescent shapes, really allowed for that to happen. It hinges on kind of the back corner there. That's where that 3D printed component goes in that can lock it into place. Yeah, if I was going to prototype this, I would definitely play around with the scale and see, yeah, like the right size that it could be. Yeah.
And the fabric, what kind of fabric are you thinking of using?
My original idea was like a leather, but I'm thinking maybe more of a canvas actually would work better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of fits the aesthetic and would be a little bit more durable.
Yeah, with this is definitely one that you'd have to do some prototyping with in terms of like moving parts. I feel like moving parts are a kind of thing, unless you're like a mechanical engineer or like have a lot of experience with it. It's always like, you know, the way materials behave when they're moving around relative to each other. I think it's very not necessarily intuitive. So like nice little study of like the side pieces and like how they behave, and you know, like maybe you need like a nylon washer or something to keep, because the friction's too high or something like that. But yeah, this is great. Yeah, Rob, do you have any thoughts?
Are those different like iterations that he has on the bottom?
Okay, that's good. So Daniela asks, are those iterations that you have on the bottom? And if so, could you just talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, those are my different iterations. Let's see. So I just kind of, my first iteration is the far left there, where it's just kind of the basic shapes, and then I had to think about more about how it's going to be all connected. And I started playing around with just using dowels in between the two side pieces, and then that becoming more complex to these actual like mortise and tenon joints with like pins between them to lock them in place. And then kind of in that second to last iteration, I thought about using hinges to prevent the back from like falling back or locking it in a closed position. But I realized that would get in the way of the bottom to actually swing up. So I ended on this kind of locking 3D printed piece in the bottom. And kind of throughout, I played around with the size and like the different arcs that I was using. Kind of see that middle one has a big arc along the bottom. So that'd also be something I would kind of consider doing prototypes, is exactly what kind of arc would work best.
That's great. Very good. Anything else? Any other questions?
I think that figuring out a way to make the structural support at the lumbar in a way that it doesn't interfere with comfort is going to be really tricky. And also making sure that your butt doesn't bottom out as the canvas stretches. I think taking some measurements off of an existing like folding beach chair of the style would go a really long way in avoiding unnecessary iterations.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
All right.
I'll wait for you to say next.
Next. All right, Denise.
Yes, you're gonna have to be my voice, Steve.
Okay, Denise is in on Zoom, so I will be her voice.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Okay, so my design is very simple. It's a stool, and you can't really tell from the Second Life model, but it has a resin top, and I was actually really inspired by that material. And yeah, so I wanted to explore the use of the CNC machine to do like kind of like a relief pattern on the seat top, and then do a resin pour over it so you could still see the design but have a comfortable seat. Was that too much, Steve?
Oh, sorry. I forgot. They can't hear you. Okay, yeah. So now I will say.
Yes, quite.
Okay. It's a simple design, and you can't tell from the Second Life rendering, but it is, you have this kind of top seat section that is CNC machined with kind of a complex shape that would be otherwise hard to get, and then you do a resin pour over that, and you get this nice kind of smooth top surface that you can sit on.
Yeah, and I liked it because it could act as like flexible seating in a living space, or as kind of like a side table.
Right, and so she likes that it could kind of act as either like flexible seating in a living space or as a side table. And there were, from what I remember, there were several different design options for the top that the resin could be in. This is one of them, but there were good like 4 or 5 other ones that were like really good.
Mm-hmm. And the 3D component is the adjustable feet on the bottom so that the stool could be on an uneven surface.
Right, so then there's the adjustable feet on the bottom so that the stool could be on an uneven surface. Yeah, and this is something we talked about, and this is something that, this is something that actually before I started teaching how to like make chairs, I didn't really give too much thought, but if you have a big, like these two, if the two bottom flat edges that form a cross were just sitting on the ground, it's basically probably always going to be wobbly unless the floor that it's on is as flat as the stool itself. And floors generally as it turns out, are not that flat. You can't really tell when you're walking on them, but you try and put something flat on them, you'll find out. Cool.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Any other questions or anything?
Levi looks great inside of the chair.
Yeah.
Nice design addition.
Yeah. Future iterations.
Future iterations
will involve gargoyles.
A quick announcement, I should have prepared everybody's permission, so if you want to take a copy of your chair to put it on your head or to do whatever you want with, you should be able to now. Also, while everyone's here, I had a quick question. Does anybody oppose to me putting the Second Life version of their chair up for free in the Second Life marketplace so people can decorate their homes with your chairs? I figure we might as well, you know, give some modernist furniture to this weird world that we're spending time in. Cool. Email me if you don't want that to happen. Steve, is that next slide?
Sure. Unless is there anything else? Good. Next slide.
Cool.
Right, Elena.
Hello.
There it is.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yes.
All right, so this is my chair inspired by a incomplete, like imperfect circle. It's supposed to aesthetically look like the base is resting and there's a balance to it, but it's actually hanging, but it doesn't have the piece in here, but it's hanging by a chain. Oh, I guess I could see the screen. But yeah, so it's meant for 2 people or maybe 3 if you're sitting as a bench, or you can lean back on the sides of it. With a red fabric. And then it has the 3D printed spacers in between the ribs that are threaded, and it's meant for like either hospitality or like a lobby, maybe a public space, but like a large room. And then the joinery I used was a half dovetail on the bottom where the beams going across attached to this circle. And then the top joints where the top beam and the chain go through are actually split into 2 pieces. So there's a left and a right side on the circle, and they overlap and sandwich each other so that the 2 pieces can be taken apart and fit inside of each other for the manufacturing. Yeah.
Cool. Did you do any did you do any work trying to nest these things together? There's to like modify the shape to get them to nest?
I did a little bit, but I think that's something that I'll probably do later now. I just didn't have enough time to mess with the shapes.
Sure. Yeah, I feel
but
like
I think I'd be able to get into possibly 2 to 3 with the nesting.
I feel like you could. I feel like you might be able to get this out of 1 sheet if you, and that's a pretty cool feature of something like this, something so big. You know, if you can get it out of 1 sheet.
Yeah.
But it may take longer. One of the things that isn't in the model of it, because it would be, I think we decided it would be really hard to model, is that the spacing at the top where the chain is less than the spacing at the bottom where the seat is. So the whole thing kind of tapers up towards the chain. And that's easy to, it's like, it would be really hard to draw, and it's also, in a sense, not necessary to draw because it's really easy to make, right? It's really easy to like just align things like that and to flex plywood. it's a lot easier to do that than it is to flex plywood in a CAD software.
Yeah, so the top beam, the threaded rod, the spacers on it are smaller so that when the pieces are overlapping, it all is a tight fit, and then it extends about 9 or 10 inches towards the bottom where the beams are going across. Yeah, so it does have like a fan out if it were to be built.
Mm-hmm. And what would you want to get? What more information would you want to get from the prototyping process?
I think doing prototypes to test the weight distribution and how it works. Like my idea is to have it be hovering like right above the ground, looking like that right piece is resting, but it's just a bit above, and seeing how that works with someone coming and sitting in it, whether or not that piece needs to actually be on the ground to stop from swaying, or yeah. I think probably just testing the balance of the swing.
Great. Any other questions? Anything else? All right, let's move on to the next one. Thanks, Lena. Ah. How do you do that?
If you
so
click
fast?
the chairs, you teleport to them if you click on them.
Oh, okay. I was trying to run.
I guess that's why I'm winning, because I know that.
All right, Winta.
Hi, I'm not on Second Life because it kept my Gotcha output crashing when I was running all the programs.
Okay. Winta's on Zoom with me. Go ahead.
All right, so I designed a rocking chair, and I did the parametric design. And I just wanted it to be something that was easy to assemble, but also like have ergonomic pieces that support yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I start repeating.
Sure. Sorry, say that again. I forgot that I had to repeat it.
Yeah, I designed the rocking chair, and I did it with the parametric design because I wanted it to have an easy assembly when it comes to like manufacturing and mass, and people like buying it and everything.
Sure. So she did the parametric design, you know, so that it would be easy to assemble, and I think that anything else. Sorry. So sorry.
Yeah, and then I also didn't want it to be like a basic grandma type rocking chair, so I wanted to create some like element that made it still look nice when it's not in use, which is why I did the whole rocker part and attached like the handle part with the legs and everything.
Okay, so she wanted to make a rocker, but not like a kind of traditional grandma type rocker. You know, a little bit more modern, maybe a little bit more chic. So that's why you have these kind of side oval shapes that act as both the handle and the rocking mechanism. Anything else?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. So the 3D element that I had was the spacers that go in between, and then it's attached with the threaded rod, and then the barrel screws.
Sure. So this one is it's a threaded rod that goes through the piece, and 3D spacers holding the different sections relative to each other, and then there's barrel bolts on the very ends of both sides to kind of finish it off. Cool. Any actually, I'm curious because we started and last time we checked and we started laying this out on a sheet of plywood, and the pieces stacked really nicely. At least the inside pieces stacked really nicely. Did you ever figure out how many if it would fit on one sheet, or if you would actually need 2 sheets.
I didn't get to finish it, but I would need 2 sheets because the rocker parts were too big to fit into the one piece.
Right.
Yeah, it was like 1.5.
Cool. Anything else? Rob, anything else? All right. Okay, so let's go to the next one, and this is going to be there's no slide for it, but we're going to go to Jasper. Jasper, are you in here?
Cool, is Jasper here?
Yeah, here he is. Nice to meet you.
Hold on, I'll bring out his giant chair.
Jasper,
Hello?
there you are.
I can't find my mouse in Second Life. Wait. Why is this hard?
I can't hear Jasper.
They can't hear you, Jasper.
1 second.
Okay, just 1
Are you
second.
touch enabled and speak enabled in Second Life?
He can't find his mouse.
Do you need a mouse for Second Life? I'm using a trackpad.
Rob's using a trackpad.
No, I can't like see my cursor.
The mouse does almost nothing in Second Life. It's all WASD.
He can't see his
arrow keys.
he can't see his cursor.
That's weird.
We could just push you over to it.
Try hitting escape.
Try
And
hitting
then using the arrow keys. There you go. You're moving.
I can move, I just can't hit the speak button in Second Life.
He can't hit the speak
Jasper,
button.
why can't we?
He can't hit the speak button because he can't find his cursor.
Hit enter.
Hit. Okay.
And then try clicking the microphone. Your cursor's still gone. Maybe quit and relaunch. I don't know. It's fucked up.
All right, we'll see about Jacob. Is Jacob in here?
Jasper, quit and relaunch.
I am, yeah.
He's gonna do that.
Where's Jacob's chair?
Jacob's chair is a stool over here.
Oh, got it.
Jacob, where are you?
I'm here.
All right. Have at it.
We have the slides.
No, I did not. I checked your website. Sorry, did you email me since? I checked your website and I did not see your chair.
Oh. Well.
But go ahead and talk about it, I guess, as it is here.
Okay. So it's just a bar stool. It's got a storage feature. So in between the two legs, there is a spot to put the bottom piece. So it's basically collapsible, and it's meant for storage, just for basic bar. Yeah, ideally it was supposed to be a little bit bigger than how it turned out in this program, but
It was even smaller when I brought it in.
okay.
I think that it's really small in CAD.
What so what kind of thickness of material are you working with here?
It was just basic plywood, and to get the bend, thinking of just using small cuts along the legs.
Let's see. So you have, why don't you explain the 3D printed components?
Yeah. You can't really see it in this design. You could see it in on the website, but basically there's two joints that holds the three pieces of wood together. So the two legs and the connecting small piece in between. It's for weight distribution. So basically it's not all on the 3D printed part, so it doesn't stress it too much, and it doesn't stress the wood either. It kind of disperses all the weight.
And then there are feet, correct?
Yeah. So there's two planks going in kind of like a cross beam section, and instead of just resting on the floor, there's little like feeties.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to make the little feet like rubber and the legs wooden, but I wasn't sure how to do that in Fusion to separate them.
Feet rubber and the
That's
legs
different.
wooden.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they would have to be probably different. You know, they could be different components, and you can do it that way. Or I think that in Fusion you can tell it either to apply material to an entire body, or to just a face, and you can do that too.
Okay. Yeah. But other than that, it was a like pretty creative process. I liked it.
Yeah. Good. All right. Cool. Jasper, I mean, anything else? Rob, do you have anything?
Can you hear me in Second Life?
Yes.
One
Okay.
thing we had talked about when I briefly met with your class was that there's going to be a lot of wobble in that threaded connection, even if it were like steel on steel, because you need to have two connection points between, or a very tall connection point between something that's so vertical, like the threaded rod section. And also to get a meaningful amount of adjustability, you need more than an inch up and an inch down. So talking about ways of adding more adjustability and more stability between the seat and the body, and also figuring out a way that it would feel stable without putting too much bend on the sheets on the base. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting form, and I think that often I feel like people are talking about how storage is really important in chairs, and I'm usually like, come on. But for a bar stool, I totally agree. I think that because those underbar hooks have the issue of you always forget your stuff there because it's not visible, but having the storage in a open and obvious space on the chair would be a lot better for purses and bags and jackets than traditional solutions.
Yeah, and I didn't want to get too complex with the design and everything, so just kind of just keeping it simple.
All right. Great. All right, should we move on to Jasper?
Sure.
Thanks, Jacob.
Okay. This is my stool. It is a stool that a continuation, I guess, from last semester with Rob's class. In my opinion, it looked much prettier in Fusion, so it's kind of polygon-y. But this is kind of what I was initially thinking, and I ended up at a different thing in Rob's class. But this would be the taller version, the kind of bar stool, maybe like a drafting kind of sketching stool, so it keeps you a little more upright. Those are two individual like seats that have adjustability. I didn't make that in this version in Fusion. I haven't really thought about too much manufacturing, but probably be stacked or something, pieces of plywood. And I guess if there was a needed user, someone mentioned to me that there's like bike seats that have split seats that are cushioned for men with prostate issues. So maybe this could be like adapted to people with prostate issues that also draft and sketch. So I don't know, but yeah, I could call it the snail stool. This is the tall snail stool. Thank you.
Cool. Well done.
Yeah, there's a polygon limit for. I was limiting everyone to 400 polygons, and for organic things, it just doesn't get you very far. So sorry about all the triangles. But it sits pretty well. Like, you know, it really fits the butt. If people hold Alt and click my butt, and then scroll down with their mouse wheel. I'm sorry, just move the mouse up. Then you can look at how it fits the seat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you hold Alt and then click and then drag up. And where you start clicking is going to be what you zoom in on. So hold Alt, click the thing you want to zoom in on, in this case, the seat of the chair, and then move the mouse up, and you'll be able to get a sense of how it would work. I think a footrest should be really important for this at its height, but I guess people can also put their feet on the base of the stool.
Yeah.
You intended it for one eye of the snail and the other eye of the snail to be one for each butt cheek?
Yeah, kind of something like that. I don't remember where it really came from, but I was drawing on Bart and I drew something and it was kind of funny. And then Dean was like, yeah, it's funny, you should do that. And then Rob was like, yeah, why not? And then that's the stool in front of you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Cool. All right.
Sadly, neither me nor my avatar have a butt big enough to be whole, but I like this. Nice.
I'm giving you a virtual thumbs up. Like, okay, thumbs up.
How do you do that? I think / thumbs up. Is that how you do it?
I'm just doing it with my mind.
Does that work? Cool. I don't think we should spend too much time in the gestures. Things could get weird.
I agree with that statement.
Okay.
Steve, do you want to do a group photo and then break out into Zoom?
Sure.
Cool. If everybody wants to grab their chair and wear it as a hat, the instructions are behind you on the big screen. So find your chair, right-click the chair, or two-finger click on a Mac and click Take Copy. And then you just open your inventory, which is the suitcase on the left side of your screen. In the objects folder, the chair is going to probably be the only object in there. You right-click it, and then you click Attach To, and then Skull. And then it will add your chair as a hat. And then we can take a group photo and maybe take a break and then meet back in Zoom to talk about how we can make these chairs in future semesters. And yeah, maybe sing some songs, sign our yearbooks, that kind of thing.
All right, where are we meeting for this picture?
I think in the sunflowers.
Sure. Over here? Follow me.
Yeah, but I think it's going to take a bit for people to get their chairs on their heads.
Okay, take your time.
Anybody need help getting their chair?
Yeah, it won't let me put my chair.
Oh, sorry. Who was that?
Jacob,
Jacob.
the bar
Okay,
stool.
okay, I'll be there in a second. Sorry. Content permission. Okay, try now.
No.
Weird. What is it's grayed out?
Yeah, it won't let me do take copy.
Give me a second.
A lot of really good looking hats out here. Gotta say, people.
My fault. Okay, one more time. Try now.
All right, yeah.
Cool. Sorry about that. Anybody else having that problem?
Yeah, I need help doing the same thing.
Jake.
What's your name? Sorry, I can't tell.
Oh, Alexis.
That's lucky.
Hey, Alexis.
I like Jake.
I'm sitting down on my chair.
Jasper needs help too, please. When you're done.
Okay, try now, Alexis. Just take copy grayed out.
Trying to. Now I'm spinning for some reason.
Oh, hit touch, stand up, and you'll stop spinning.
How do you know how to stand up?
There's a stand up button on the bottom of your screen.
Oh, I see it.
Jasper, I fixed yours too. Sorry for the problem.
Thanks.
Anybody else having problems with take copy?
Yeah, could you help me out?
Sure. It's probably my fault. Who was that?
Eddie.
Eddie, looking for your chair. Anyone can copy, permissions, apply. Okay, try now.
Photo.
So right click and then take copy. Is that grayed out for you still?
Then copy.
I can't copy it.
Who was that?
Tom.
Cool. Fixing it. God, permissions in this program are really a pain in the butt. General, anyone can copy. Okay, you should be able to now on.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody still having issues?
Yeah, no, it's not letting me copy the
Okay, that's my fault. Who was that?
Eddie again.
Still? Oh, sorry. I thought I fixed it.
Lane is more chair than avatar now.
So copy?
Yeah. So Eddie is still not letting you take copy.
They copy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send you one directly because I don't know how to fix that. So I sent it to you directly. Just accept the offer in the chat.
Okay.
Anyone else having issues?
My upper body disappeared because I accidentally put the chair on my right hand instead of my head.
Yeah,
So
I don't know how to fix avatars, but cool. Let's all get into the sunflower field. Maybe we can be a little deeper, where the light's a little more dramatic. Cool. Everyone now line up by height. You know, we don't want to block anybody.
Am I gonna get a worse grade because my upper body's missing?
No. Cool, everyone gathering close. God, this is so hard.
Do you want me to put something down so people could stand and be a little bit higher than the sunflowers?
I think maybe this will look good once it renders out, but I don't know. I haven't done this before. Whatever you think is best, Path. You've got a lot more experience.
Yeah, you can. I'll just put a little platform on the ground here. So let me just, if you want to try, let's see here. Excuse me.
Also, all via hoverboards.
That seems like a lot to orchestrate.
So there's a plywood stage sort of under the sunflowers. If you stood on it, I just put it there.
Cool. I'll throw some stairs.
Might be. Let me make it bigger here. There. Yeah. See how that looks. Maybe might be helpful.
I'm adding some chairs. Oh no, I'm adding some stairs for people who aren't as good at flying.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool.
So there are stairs on the gallery side.
Thanks, I'm having trouble. There you go.
Let's see how this is.
Gloriously.
Everyone on the platform in 10, 9.
Which direction
8,
are we facing?
face toward the gallery, so the sun sets at our back.
Towards the screen?
Ooh.
Here, I can just float here if you want to like look at me.
Oh, yes.
Me. I'm the one with the flapping wings here, so easy to spot me.
Cool. I'm just gonna take the photo because I don't think it's gonna get better than this.
I'm impressed that everyone's getting together as much as they are already. It's crazy cool.
Cool. I'll take a few more. I can't thank everybody enough for working with us through this strange system. But I think that it's a much better situation than we would have had otherwise. I think, Steven, my plan is to break out, let people mess around for a bit, like flying around in Second Life, then meet back in Zoom for the remainder of class to kind of do like a debrief and to talk about, you know, like pluses and minuses of the class, both before and after lockdown. Hold on, I'm going to take one with the camera and the sunflowers. There we go.
I took a bunch of photos too, and also during the class, Rob, I took a bunch of photos. I'll send them to you if you might find them useful.
I think I would. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
And I sent friendship requests to some people just because if you want to spend more time in this environment, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about how Second Life works. Yeah, if you ever decide to come back here and do other things, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Let's give a round of applause to
Thank you.
Path for making this all happen and giving us this land.
Thank you.
I think we can also do /clap.
Yeah.
/clap.
Yeah.
Everyone, I sent most of you a request or a offer to join the class group, and that will give you access to this gallery space and all of most of the space around here forever,
Yeah.
or for
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
forever. So just be sure to accept that request because this space is going to get locked down again after tonight. Steve, so are we good to meet back in at 2:30
Yeah.
back in Zoom with our classes?
Yep, 2:30 sounds great.
Cool. If people want to follow me, I'm gonna hoverboard over to the old gallery, the floating island that was too small for us, and destroy it. So if you go over to the end of the maze, there's hoverboard dispensers.
Okay. All right, everybody. Let's meet again at 2:30. And I'll see you at 2:30 in the Zoom class. You can hang out if you want. I think I'm gonna go see what Rob's gonna do.
You know, I don't know actually.
It's to the south, and
Okay,
it's above the it's to the south, past the cornfield, past the sunflower field, up in the sky 1,000 meters.
All right. So everyone, we're gonna go. Follow me for about half a mile, and then we're just gonna fly straight up. Everybody ready? Right-click the hoverboard and click fly to get on the hoverboard if you want to come. Cool. 3, 2, 1, blast off!
Hey, are we lost?
That's a hard yes.
Oh, we tried.
We can only go up, right?
Maybe. Is it north?
There you go.
I guess it must be north now. I think we went too far.